Welcome to another episode of Geekoutdoors.com. And on this episode, I wanted to talk about buying a powerful laptop for less than $200. Now, your definition of powerful might be different from mine, but here's some of my criteria for a powerful laptop. First and foremost, the laptop has to have real hard drive space. And what I mean by that is not SD card slots, I don't consider that real storage, I need at least 500 gigs minimum or better. Secondly, I definitely want the laptop itself to have a lot of RAM, and so minimum is going to be 4 gigs of RAM or better. And also, I definitely want some type of optical drive, a CD, DVD, preferably a burner for both. Regardless of what all these manufacturers are doing, I really want an optical drive because I still have a lot of physical media and I still like to burn stuff. So, optical drive for sure. Another thing is the screen. I do want a 15-inch or better screen because I do spend a lot of time in front of a laptop, and those 13-inch screens and lower, even if it has high resolution, it's hard to see. And finally, the processor has to be powerful enough for me to do actual multimedia, meaning video editing, music editing, and so forth quickly, and also allow me to game a little bit as well. So those are just some of my criteria. And normally for less than $200, you will find lots of options online and a brick and mortar, but they're not what I would consider powerful. Now, if you go online, you could go to electronic sites like newegg.com, or you could spend your time scouring for deals. And you could find laptops with specs like this that are refurbished, but I'm not a real big fan of refurbished laptops, mainly because I can't physically play around with them to make sure they're all good. Even if they do have a return policy, I don't like to go through the hassle of returning stuff that I waited a few days for to get online. Now, your other online option would be Craigslist. I don't know about you, but I don't like to get robbed. And I do like to have the option of returning it if there are defects and problems. So, with the online option out of the way, what about physical options? Well, typically, people are going to head to Best Buy. And that's actually my preferred place to buy electronics physically. And the options here are pretty much the same in any brick and mortar. For less than $200, normally you're going to get the very low-end Windows laptop, meaning the basic version of Windows 10. Normally, the processor is going to be a Celeron or, some variant of it, like even a low-end AMD. So you can't do a lot of multimedia processing, editing, and probably not much gaming at all, unless it's real light gaming. And also, at this price range, normally they're not going to have a real hard drive space. They're normally going to have some type of SD card storage, like 32 gigs or less, and that just doesn't cut it for me. And also their screens are usually very small, 13 inches or less. And plus, most of them at this price range, they have no optical drive. So, those are all not options that I can consider when purchasing a laptop. Now, your other option would be a Chromebook, but I'm sorry, I'm not going to pay $100 for an internet browser laptop. Now, what option does that leave? Your online, your brick and mortars, what other options do you have? Well, I just bought my most recent laptop at this option that I'm showing you right here. And as you can see, it's a pawn shop. Now, most people don't think of a pawn shop when it comes to buying laptops, but do take into consideration that these are in use. But you could get some really powerful hardware for a really good price. So I'm going to show you my laptop later on that I purchased for less than $200. Now, I'm going to give you 5 tips whenever you go to the pawn shop to go buy a laptop that you should consider before buying. First and foremost, tip number 1, make sure that you play around with the laptop, software-wise, hardware-wise, as best as you can. And if you're not a tech person, bring somebody who's knowledgeable about it, or do a little research before you go. Secondly, make sure that the pawn shop you go to is reputable. And what I mean by that is, make sure it's not a pawn shop that's known for buying stolen goods. You definitely don't want to have a hot item. You could get into trouble with that. So also, if it's a reputable pawn shop, they will normally have some type of tech person available to where they've checked it and make sure everything's good, meaning the Wi-Fi works, the software good, there's not viruses and stuff on it. And also, if it's a reputable pawn shop, normally they're going to give you some type of option to return it if there are defects with it. So that's tip number 2. Now, tip number 3, if you do go to a pawn shop, normally they're going to have some type of layaway plan. And so definitely make sure that you could get into layaway. So if you're on a budget or you're just plain broke, with a layaway plan, it makes it a lot easier for you to pay down, especially if it's going to be $200 or less. Okay. Tip number 4, make sure that they've refreshed everything on the laptop, meaning none of the old person's data is on there. It's like a brand new laptop as much as possible. So like I said, if you have somebody who knows a little bit about tech, bring them along. And if not, check with the pawn shop. Make sure that everything's been wiped out as best as possible. And the final tip that I have, tip number 5, is if you want to get an even better deal, haggle. Be ready to haggle. And some people really enjoy that stuff, so you might be able to get an even better deal than what they're offering. And so that's my choice for getting a powerful laptop for less than $200. I know it might not seem like it. I was surprised myself, but as you see on the very next part of this video, the laptop I got, it's pretty powerful and it meets all of my needs. And so if you had any other ideas or comments, be sure to leave them below. And have you ever bought a laptop at a pawn shop before? If you have, leave that down there as well. And as always, if you do like these videos, be sure to subscribe. And for full written episodes, head out to Geekoutdoors.com, and I'll see you outdoors on the very next episode. So this is the laptop that I mentioned earlier that I got from the pawn shop for less than $200. As a matter of fact, I got this out the door at $170, and I could have haggled for it a little more if I wanted a better price. So as I stated, the hardware, great quality, no problems at all. It's got all the ports that you would need, including HDMI. It also has an optical drive right there, CD, DVD, burner, awesome. And as you can see, the screen, I think that's a 15-inch screen. I'm pretty sure it's a 15-inch screen. And it was running Windows 8.1, but I'm a Linux fanboy, so I have Linux Mint 17.2 Raphael on it. And if you don't know what that means, I'm going to leave a link below that tells you what Linux is. And hardware-wise, on the inside, it's got an AMD A8 processor, which is beefy, 4 gigs of RAM. And what's nice about the processor is it's integrated with the Radeon R5 GPU, which is a graphics processing unit. So it does really great on multimedia, but at the same time, you could also do some gaming on it as well. So excellent laptop, excellent value, and like I said, I got this at the pawn shop. So definitely, if you're looking for a quote-unquote powerful laptop, go check out your nearest pawn shop. So that's all I got for this episode. We'll see you on another episode of Geek Outdoors.